plane, to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping Baka not nice while I'm trapping in the rain.
You hear me now?
Yes, I got you, bro. You hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm used to using phone numbers on Zoom. Doing it through email is a little weird for me.
Oh shit, no worries, bro. It's all good. Everybody's Zoom experience is varying in these unprecedented times, as a lot of people have to use Zoom for work or whatever. So some people are experts already, and then, you told me that you were in some conferences and shit with Zoom, so you're probably fucking dialing in with the phone. And then at my work, we do everything through email, so I'm used to doing it through email. So everybody's different.
Absolutely. I've been using it to do Forex trading, man. I've been learning how to trade currency.
Trade currency. So you into like Bitcoin and shit like that? I don't know.
Yeah, man. I can buy and make money buying or selling on Bitcoin.
That's pretty fucking sweet. Like all that shit intimidates me because I've never been a math guy, Like I've never been a numbers guy. That shit just fucking it jumbles my brain.
Let me ask you a question though. Is your memory good?
For the most part, yeah. For stuff I'm interested in.
Are you good at noticing patterns?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Bro, then you should consider it because it's more looking at patterns and reading chart than knowing any numbers.
Well, man, fucking Kevin Hart was on Joe Rogan just like yesterday. They just dropped an episode and fucking he's talking about that, basically what you're saying, like, because he's talking about how like all you got to do is watch. And once you watch for long enough, you can kind of figure out the trends and like what's good investments and what's not good investments. You don't necessarily have to be a wizard. There's real simplicity to it once you kind of watch the game long enough, right?
Oh, there is, because you're trading off of like, say like US dollar to Japanese yen. So like say something happened in Japan on the weekend because the market's closed on the weekend, but it's open 24/5 through the week. So I know on Monday, oh, this shit just happened in Japan. The yen's going to drop down. So I need to buy on American currency against Japanese yen, on New Zealand dollar against Japanese yen, because it's all going to go up as the yen goes, right?
Okay.
There is a lot to it. I got very blessed, actually. The Toronto yacht parties I've done once or twice?
Oh, yeah.
Where we perform on the yacht. The lady, Chelsea, she's the one who owns Where It's At Entertainment. If you ever need a link, let me know, bro. Happy to throw those out to the homies.
Oh, for sure, bro. Always.
She got me into it because she was trying to figure out a way to keep everything going with this quarantine, because her entertainment company of 12 years, like that was her source of income. Yeah. And when I seen her posting about stuff, I hit her up and asked, and she's like, honestly, like anybody can do this. Try joining the academy. So like, I'm actually still learning. I'm playing with the demo account. I'm not changing too much real money yet, because I want to make sure like I'm not losing a lot of money and I understand enough of the chart. So I'm hitting bang, 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 bang. The tools the academy gives you almost an 80% chance of getting it right.
Damn, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. Definitely something to look into. My goal at this point is to try and get it where I'm making like $300-400 a day from home and I don't have to go back to work.
God damn, I would fucking love that. So you basically just in the last few months then, like as a result of the quarantines and stuff, gotten into this?
Yeah, pretty much, man.
That's cool.
I'm on like I'm just over a month into the course right now.
Awesome. Yeah, that's dope, man. That's fucking another avenue, right?
That's exactly it, man. Fuck, even if I can make an extra $50 a day, you know what I mean? It all adds up.
Exactly. That's kind of what I've been thinking about. Is just like trying to find multiple revenue streams for yourself. You just think about how many people just, they had what they thought was job security. Like they had maybe a great job, and then all of a sudden something like this happens and it's gone. It's like they never considered that they might need other money coming in. You know what I mean? And now it's like, fuck, what do I do? So like I've been lucky enough to have been able to keep my job through this, but now it's got me thinking like anything can happen. Like, and I, I have other talents, I have other things going on, so I should like try to get as many revenue streams going as possible, so that if the ones that are controlled by powers that be get stripped away from me, I still have the shit that's under my control at least coming in, even if that's less.
That's exactly it, man. Like, when this all happened, I didn't think I was going back to a job. working in the GTA and HVAC where we are, like we're a reputable company. We've been established for 16 years, but you know, like I knew this shit was going to get hit hard. I'm actually going back to work tomorrow for my first day because stuff's starting to pick up and get a little busier, and they hit me up. I'm flabbergasted I'm even going back to a job. That's why I got into this, was because, okay, well, CERB's only going to last so long. I'm not one of those people trying to abuse it. So what the fuck am I going to do to pay my bills as soon as I'm done?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's like I was talking to somebody at work today. It's just like there's so much shit that's going to come as a result of these pandemics that we can't even think of yet. You know what I mean? Like the
We
different
haven't
people
even
getting into different things that they wouldn't have gotten into if not for this, and then that creates ripple effects in other people's lives, and just like, oh my god, just the chain reaction. Phew, what a earth shaker.
Yeah, man. It's so, like, tell me any time other than, like, say December of 2012 where somebody could have come and told you, hey man, nothing's gonna happen now, but like in another 8 years, pandemic's gonna fuck the whole world up, shut everything down, create bankruptcy, and just leave everybody locked in. Would you have believed them?
No, I would have said, oh yeah, I've heard it before. SARS, swine flu, fucking, all them.
Bro, exactly. There's so many like things we've seen in movies like 2012 or Independence Day or something that we would have believed was gonna happen first.
Yeah.
Flu-like pandemic that would
That's so true. Yeah. Thought maybe like fucking earthquakes or fucking eruptions or tsunamis and fucking all sorts of shit, man. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think pandemic. Yeah. Fuck, man. It's wild. So, how do you feel right now about the whole thing? Like things seem to, in Canada at least, be getting a little better than they were. Break it down for me, man.
People at Toronto Bell Park there, me sitting back watching the stupid people rush into a bad idea and watch what happens before I calmly and calculatedly, feel free to use that, walk in after and just see the repercussions. You know what I mean? I think people are crazy for wanting to rush and be like that. Like, I'm down in Niagara right now. Had to do some stuff for my dad and that. And we went out for a drive, ended up in Fort Erie getting some food. And he's like, let's go sit at a park bench. I don't want to eat. And I looked at him. I'm like, honestly, Dad, I would love to, but like, you don't know what's going to happen. I personally don't even know if I completely believe the whole situation of what COVID is. There's a lot. I had this discussion actually with Mike Farkas a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And there's
hey dog.
Toby, there's what's the word? There's coincidence, and then there's a point where you got to look at something and go, if it looks like shit and it's it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
There's so many things about this whole situation that really sparks more of a question of control than of a pandemic we weren't prepared for.
It's kind of
the
wild.
Other thing that the biggest thing that you don't hear anybody talking about that really makes me scratch my chin, Billy goat myself a little and question what's going on, is the fact that President Trump cut off the World Health Organization for about $400 million in funding this year at the accusation that the WHO and China didn't release information of what COVID was until the outbreak had already happened, right?
Right.
So here's my question. If there's evidence stating that, which there must be on some level, I mean, Trump's not the brightest man, but he's still pretty like, he's still pretty,
he's on the ball to some degree.
Calculated. Yeah. So if they are at fault, A, why haven't we done some sort of investigation to prove this? B, if proven, we're now at what's the death toll? Is it in 6 digits or 7 digits now? I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I've kind of made myself stop watching the numbers for a little bit, which is probably not. But I last I checked, it was 6 digits, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's crossed over.
Okay, so like at this point, we could almost consider it a flu that has created fuck, man, my brain's not there. I haven't slept and I've been smoking the wacky all day.
I hear you.
I totally just lost my train of thought. If we've seen this stuff, if there's any type of proof, why haven't we done investigation to prove it? If we're not, because if that's the case, if the WHO is responsible, if China is responsible, because this is at a point where it's almost considered a genocide by flu. Like, this is getting to a point where you're having to compare it to this. Why is nobody being held accountable?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think, for me, I don't know what your experience was like, but, if I'm to play devil's advocate or Trump's advocate in this case, which may be one and the same, I would have to say, like, I kind of remember it being like made out to be not a big deal at first by the WHO, right? Like January, February, they were kind of saying, hey, we're not ready to declare this a pandemic yet. Like, I believe they even said it can't be transmitted from person to person. So even though I don't know what the hard evidence would be on that, or if that makes them responsible, so to speak, they could have just been genuinely wrong. Like everybody says, this is something we've never dealt with before. But it does seem like in those early months, something was a little fucky there, But yeah, whether or not there's any hard evidence to warrant an investigation, I think they have a pretty clear case to say, hey, we didn't fucking know. Like, we've never dealt with this before, I don't know. But it did seem kind of weird. Like, I do remember pretty specifically them saying pretty early on, like, oh, we're not going to declare this a pandemic yet. Like, it has to,
Bro, but you got to think back. Like, Like, we were at a point, about January, February, before this got all the way it did in March.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't doing anything. We didn't really think anything of it. It was just this situation happening in China.
Yes.
But we were seeing videos of bodies on the ground already. We were seeing videos of them all suited up doing this weird, like, chemical sweep with the fog in the streets.
Yeah.
So again, like,
yeah, well, that's why you'd think that there would have been, the WHO would have been saying, like, hey, like, this is gonna fucking come, this is fucking coming, like, everybody watch the fuck out, but they really weren't. They were kind of like, all right, we're kind of keeping it contained. China's done a fantastic job. And again, not to be on Trump's side of it, but from my memory, like, I was in Mexico when it started, so, like, I remember I had a fucking, and I'm not gonna be one of those people that says, oh, I fucking had this thing. I do believe there was a chance I had it in January because I was in Mexico. I fucking remember I had a horrible chest cold. Normally when you travel, you get the shits, you get diarrhea, you get sick from the food, you throw up, you feel like woozy or whatever. I've never had a fucking chest cold as a result of traveling down south. Maybe because I've not really done it in the dead of winter like I did this time. It was my cousin's wedding, so, like, we did it in January. Normally I try to go a little closer so that I don't have to come right back to the cold. But anyway, that's a side story. But I was there and I had a horrible, horrible chest cold. And I read, oh, there's this pandemic that, or whatever. They weren't even calling it a pandemic yet. They called it like an outbreak of a new SARS-like
it was a coronavirus
in China, right? And again, not to fucking, be that guy, but there was a large group of Chinese people at the resort that I was at in Mexico. And, I was dancing at the disco with these people, rubbing elbows with them. They fucking drop my phone. They're picking it up, giving it to me. And fuck, China, like, again, I know China is fucking huge. Like, the odds that they would have been from. But again, if this thing travels like wildfire, like it almost seemed like once March hit, it seemed like anybody who fucking traveled anywhere was testing positive for this thing.
It was really weird, wasn't it? How, like, it wasn't really, like, anywhere.
Whoa. It was like, everywhere. Where was this person? Like, what? Like, NBA players and shit just traveling within the States. Like, it almost seemed like if you set foot on an airplane, you fucking probably had it. And it's just like, so I just think back to being on vacation.
You can call this conspiracy, but it honestly was almost like, oh, it's just in China. And if it was a bacterial warfare or something biological, it was like they just sent one person to every country, let the contagion out from the
You
airport.
know?
And you know what I mean? Like, it was very weird how it was even though
All of a sudden,
China and the
everywhere.
China, as Trump would say.
Yeah, China.
Don't forget the Y.
Yeah.
It's almost like you saw it happening, but it was contained, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
it was weird.
Even in Contagion, the movie, it shows how it gradually keeps moving and evolves as it's moving from like city to country and place to place. It doesn't just appear overnight. It moves from body to body, and bodies take time to incubate. And you know what I mean? So like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff. Then we can start talking about the fact of like the Wuhan facility.
Yeah.
Who owns a chunk of that facility?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
there's a whole bunch of shit, dude. There's like, and that's why it's like so hard to believe. You know, it's a fucky one, bro. It's a fucky one. It's like
if it smells like shit and it looks like shit, man, it's probably Bill Gates.
I compare it to I compare it to 9/11 in that way, because it's like, okay, if this thing really was what you say it was, then that's super fucking convenient for every goddamn agenda you've ever wanted to do, as far as invading people's privacy, heightening security, militarizing the police, fucking keeping detailed records on everybody. You know what I mean?
That's the thing that fucks me up the most about this.
It's like a new 9/11 for like, we're going to change everything about life now because we're scared of this fucking thing. You know, it's almost identical.
The one that has me like really going is the fact that, like, okay, let's say for instance that it is a biological weapon, because they were working on a type of novel coronavirus in a testing facility in Wuhan.
Sure.
Not far from ground zero of this situation. There's, despite what everybody wants to say, there is a very decent possibility that this could have gotten out of a lab. It's not from somebody eating fucking bat soup, which to me, like, I don't feel like it would have happened the same way, because again, how the body's immune system works. But anyways, say it is biological warfare. China's buying up a lot of farms right now and oil companies in the States and Canada. Our government passed a bill allowing them to make decisions without any vote in House, and the first thing they did was ban semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's weird things happening right now that you would never fathom happening outside of the coronavirus. And it's like our governments are either a part of the situation or they are heavily capitalizing on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And all of them seem to be, you know, going in the same direction, right? Like, except for, you know, Donald Trump. who fucking,
right?
like, that's where I'm like, fuck, you know, like, I'm just like, I don't know sometimes, man. Like, it's like, you know, I look at the world one way, but if I squint my eyes a little bit, I see it the other way, and it's like it could be either fucking way, and I don't think, and both sides really fucking get at each other's throats a lot. But I really think we need to acknowledge that it honestly could be anything at this fucking point. Like, it could very well be a genuine fucking thing, and it could very well be a fucking globalist conspiracy. Like, honestly, I don't fucking, a globalist Chinese, like, why wouldn't China want to take over the world, right? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, and why wouldn't they just buy everybody? They got 1 billion fucking people. They got every industry. They make fucking everything. They got all the leverage on the planet that you could possibly imagine. Now they've got all the fucking technology. They don't give a fuck about copyrights. They just fucking steal everybody's shit anyway. It's like, why not just fucking run the world, right? And it's like, I think that we're so naive. We have such a tiny population in comparison, and we just think that we're like totally fucking safe from that entity, right? And it's like, all these governments seem to really be going in the direction of the Chinese government, except America. So I'm like, but then America's also about a bunch of evil shit, you know? So it's just like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what's right or wrong. I don't know what's going on, man. What's going on, Swish? You tell me.
Yo, we're right back to the 2016 American election, buddy. You want to do? Sure. Third sandwich.
Yeah, we're literally
this
right
time
back.
It's not a president, it's life.
Yeah, exactly. and it's presidents. Joe Biden's a fucking turd sandwich and a giant douche, and so is Trump.
Oh my God. I'd rather have Trump than Biden. How fucked is that to say?
It is fucked up to say, because I just at least I know that Trump is aware of his surroundings, at least. You know what I mean? Like, Joe Biden really scares me, man. Like, it's like, dude, do you know what year it is? Do you even know what year it is? Like, at least Trump knows what he's a little bit with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's fucking crazy and he's fucked up, but at least he's a little bit with the times. Like, Biden's like not with the times, ideologically, but with the times is
Biden's got one foot in the fucking grave, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. Weekend at Bernieing that motherfucker out there, man. Like, they just got him on puppet strings, but I don't fight you. Like that shit he said to Charlemagne. Like, I don't want to be the guy, but man, this motherfucker says if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. How out of touch do you have to be, man?
It's nuts, man. The world right now, like, yo, do you have any family members that fought in like World War II and that were part of the Canadian Army?
No, I had a grandfather who was no longer with us, but he fought in World War II in the Italian army.
Oh, okay.
Both sides of the war, because Italy switched sides.
we won't get into Mussolini too much.
Yeah, no, we won't. But my grandfather was a prisoner of war on both sides, and didn't get killed. So luckily, I exist. But
absolutely,
it's
man.
a close one. How about you, man? You got some Canadian veterans in your family?
So my grandfather on my father's side was pretty crazy into it. What I know is during the Second World War, he was a rear gunner in a Lancaster. So for people that don't know, that's the shitty spot underneath the bottom of the back of the plane with the gun that usually gets nicked first by anti-aircraft weaponry.
Jeez, so, and those are some rickety old planes too.
Oh, yeah, man, that was a dangerous fucking job. So when he got out of that, he ended up staying in the Army, and I don't know what he did anymore, because everything I've tried to get my hands on or come across or been talked about is considered classified. And even at this point, in the last time I checked was probably about 2017, 2018, when so many files have been released because they have to be after time, his are still not available. So
that's wild.
I know he flew some pretty crazy missions between the Second World War and Vietnam, and some vets have told me some pretty crazy stuff. But that's basically it. The point I was going to make, though, is like, despite which side our family fought on, we were all really fighting for the same thing, and that was a freedom of country, a freedom of our family, and a future for our families, right?
Mm-hmm.
How fucking pissed do you think our grandparents would be right now looking at what this society has become?
Oh, man.
And I mean that in like so many fucking ways. Like, this fucking bitch in Toronto, you've got to have seen this video, man. The woman calling the police while she's choking her fucking dog, hurting it, to say that an African-American man is harassing her.
Oh, no.
Like, do you understand how many levels
Toronto?
of fucked up as a person you got to be to do some lame-ass shit like that? Like, there's petty, like I'm going to fuck your bitch. And then there's petty, like, I'm just going to do this to be a piece of shit, spiteful asshole because I want to be right.
So what actually was happening? Like, was there an African-American guy anywhere near her?
Yeah, he was telling the bitch to put her dog on a leash because there's fucking signs right up in the park saying keep your dog leashed.
Right.
And she didn't like that, to the point where race had to come into it.
Jesus.
Calling the cops and narking had to come into it. And harming her own dog in the process.
The irony, right?
Like, there's society is so fucked as a whole to what, like, that's the one thing I think is so beautiful about this quarantine. Me personally, man, I don't look at my phone near as much. Like, I'm not even talking to you on my phone. I'm talking to you on a tablet. My phone's sitting off to the side. I barely looked at it once. It's been such a refreshing thing for me to look at what's important to me in life, what I want out of life, because cell phones have literally trained us to a point. And I know you were doing this before this shit with quarantine happened. I know you were taking like months at a time, man, because it literally trains you. Oh my God, I got to see what everybody else is doing with their life. I've got to see what I've got to compete with.
Yep.
Oh my God, this person's got this. I need this. Yep. Oh my God, these people are hanging out without me. What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? There's so much fucking involvement in other people's lives when it doesn't fucking mean shit at the end of the day.
Dude, as soon as you like go off of Facebook or whatever it is for like a week or two, you realize how much you don't fucking give a shit. Like, you're just like, you don't give two shits. And then and then as soon as you're back on it again, you're like, oh, this person's doing this, and it's like, and then you're off it, and you don't even think about that person, much less what they're doing. It's like so much of your mental energy it takes up, you don't even fucking realize, man, like that you could be doing more productive things with.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's the biggest blessing I've had. You know, I've gotten to sit home where I'm not thinking about work all the time. I don't have to think about a wage because of CERB. It's literally a freedom of mind for those who have chosen to use it for that. And it's just made me realize and appreciate what I have and what I want so much more. It actually was my ability to grieve for my mother and everything that happened in this last year, because it was so go between funerals and estate shit and lawyer shit, and then working 12 to 14 hours 6 days a week, and a daughter. Like, you know what I mean? You don't get time to really heal or like have mental health. And I think that's another problem with what social media is it only makes the time we could be taking to better ourselves, to find inner peace per se, to just relax, have a glass of wine, you know what I mean, unwind. Mm-hmm. And we're spending it worrying about what the fuck Joe Blow's doing with his girlfriend while she's really cheating on him, and we don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Rocking all these rollies when they're fucking $15 fakes, and he's broke as a fucking joke and can't even feed his kid.
100,000%, man. 100,000%. I could not agree more. And man, I just had something too. Something about quarantining. Yeah, and just appreciating shit, bro. It's you got to appreciate what you do have, you know, ultimately, and fucking not worry so much about what everybody else is doing and competing with everybody else. I think what I was gonna say is to the point that you had about the CERB allowing you the time to actually take a breather for once, and because you had serious things happen in your personal life. With your mother, you know, rest in peace, and really sorry about that, you know. But just that, to take that point and like, man, like what a thing to be able to have. And that's like a point toward the idea of doing some sort of universal basic income, right? Like if we, and this is not like to say that there's no cons to that idea, but if we were to make like giving everybody like even $1,000 a month a regular thing, it's like, I don't think I would not work anymore. I think like, sick, I get this on top of work. And then if something serious happens in my personal life where I really need the time off, I don't have to worry about losing income because of that, because I'm still going to have that UBI coming in, right? So it would be cool to me if they eventually could, if this CERB goes on long enough, if they figure out a way to somehow turn that into a universal basic income so that everybody has that safety net in case something happens, not to the fucking global pandemic, but even in their personal lives, personal fucking pandemics, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody should have to feel like I'm not going to be able to put food on the table if I need to grieve a loss of a parent or a friend or whatever it is, you know?
You know what the biggest horseshit is? I just finally got to my income tax today. I won't get into too much detail, but I was learning like a lot of write-offs I have and different stuff. You know what's fucked, man? My mother cost me $20,000. That's the funeral cost, the cemetery cost, the casket, the tombstone, all the nice stuff to give. My grandmother, when she passed in January, was another $13,000. That's $33,000 in about 6 months on funeral costs.
Yeah.
Our government gives us $2,000 as a CPP benefit.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. That'll buy me just enough fucking cream to fucking heal my ass up. Like, it's ridiculous that, like, how many funerals are you going to go through in a lifetime? People can't fake funerals and death certificates. Why would you not give like a chunk write-off to buy, especially when I have to buy the plot? I'm not buying from a funeral home. I'm buying from the city. When I put my mother in the ground, the check was made out to the city of Thorold. Why don't I get a write-off for that shit?
No shit. That is fucking bullshit. That's insane. That's insane. And you're somebody who's going through a personal fucking tragedy. You know what I'm saying? You're somebody who's grieving on top of it being just fucking logistically bullshit. You know, it's also fucking you emotionally.
That's one thing I've really learned seeing like the last year, like aside from everything personal, really showed me how fucked up our health sectors are. We've got good too. And anybody who knocks the Niagara, the St. Catharines General Hospital, the new one, you're fucked. Go spend some days in Toronto. Go see what London has to offer.
Oh, we've got it better than a lot of places.
You don't realize how good Niagara's hospital actually is. But at the same time, like, and it's just coming out now. It was actually on the news today. Ford and Trudeau are talking about this situation with long-term care facilities.
Well, that's the biggest issue.
I could touch light and tell you a lot of stories, but I'll keep it to a couple quick things. I got a call one day because I was caregiver for my grandmother when my mom got sick before she passed and then after she passed. So if anything happened, if my grandmother fall or anything like that, the nurses would give me a call.
Okay.
But one day I get a call. They're doing x-rays on my grandmother. They're seeing if her skull's fractured because a grown-ass fucking man that has anger issues was allowed to walk up to her and fucking slap her. This is a 91-year-old woman in a wheelchair that's very brittle to the point where do not resuscitate is on her order form because it would collapse her chest.
Jesus.
And
that's the type of shit that's happening.
Situations where shit's continuously going missing. Stuff is being fucking stolen, and a lot of it is by the nurses.
Well, because they know that they're going to get away with it because it's easily explained as, they're just old, they're going crazy, right?
Absolutely. Food situations, different concern situations. My grandmother in the hospital was deemed independent, which means, okay, she can go into a retirement home, she can live on her own. The hospital deemed her independent. I got her into a retirement home. 3 days in, she was deemed crisis, and I was told to either hire a 24/7 PSW, which at $30 an hour equals out to almost 24 fucking K a month, or remove her from the facility. Yeah, okay, cool. I've got nowhere to take her. I've got a full-time job. I've got a baby on the fucking way at this point. What am I supposed to do with an elderly woman? So what the system has is the central LHIN. There's different LHINs. I forget what LHIN stands for, but it's basically where the government gets involved with long-term care and crisis. So they booted my grandmother out the second I had to take her to the hospital for a situation with breathing because she was also on an oxygen tank, and wouldn't let her back in purposely so that the LHIN would have to get involved and find her an emergency bed. So instead of her being close to me, I have to take whatever I can get. I got lucky enough that it was on the 400 by the 400 for 401. It was still on my way a decent bit, but now fucking an hour out of my way. And she had to live in a fucking hospital for a week while all this shit happened, while the paperwork, like, our system is so fucking flawed with healthcare. It's fucking beyond belief with the way really things are. Up. And the way everything is prioritized. You'll see stuff where we're now opening centers for like people to go inject, for people to get situations. I don't see a lot of things being done for the dealers creating these situations. I don't see a lot of fucking long-term ideals of this. It's just a quick fix to save a life. It doesn't take in the cost over time. It doesn't take in the situations you're creating, because now you're creating an environment where people get comfortable in these situations. That's why you're starting to hear Niagara's having more robberies and break-ins. You go downtown St. Catharines, man, when we were kids going to Scene Fest, you'd see these fucking crackheads doing this kind of shit, brawling in the middle of the street, shitting in a bush right next to it.
Really goddamn scary in some places, man. And not scary in like a fucking like danger, scary in like a I can't believe it's sad scary.
It's sad to say that the Hells Angels did a better job of keeping Niagara clean than the fucking OPP are. But it's true because that's the fact of the matter. Our streets never saw this when the Hells Angels were still running shit before every other fucking gang was able to come in and start fucking throwing all the shit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fucking snitch. I am not knocking the dealer. I was the dealer. I got tons of homies I ain't trying to fucking name. But there's a big difference between selling some fun in a party and selling a fucking destruction of life, a destruction of fucking families, and a destruction to your own fucking business. And I'm definitely taking a shot at
going on.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking a shot at fentanyl dealers. Y'all can go fucking rot and die.
Yeah, nobody should be. I mean, they're yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on, man, and it's really, really unfortunate. And it's really unfortunate. The safe injection sites is a mixed thing for me. I had, I spent time in Vancouver, 2011, early 2010s. Safe injection sites were huge there already. And a lot of the homies that I have there totally swear by harm reduction. Obviously, it's a very different place from here.
Okay, let me ask you this, Ezza. Where would that facility be better? In the street of your local neighborhood, where they're going to go back out into the street, get comfortable doing it, start endangering citizens, kids, different stuff, because we're seeing needles in the park. Or instead of spending money like this, let's build infrastructures in our army bases, like in Trenton, in Toronto. There's like a couple bases in Toronto. We've got one here in St. Catharines. And instead of putting them in a situation where they're going back out, create structures where they sign their life over for 2 years. You clean them out, sober them up, give them all kinds of fucking skills, and create a better army and a better tomorrow for your country and your society. We don't have any end game to this. There's just a comfort. People don't have to feel guilty about people dying. Well, guess what? They're going to fucking die, or little Jimmy down the street's going to fucking step on that needle, get HIV, and fucking die anyways. So what are you really fixing? That's the problem I see with society now, is everything is a quick fix. Nothing is what's better for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad that you bring that point up, because I fully agree that the only actual cure for the type of addiction that we see that ends up in these harm reduction programs is what you said. Somebody working with that person for 2 years, probably even more, to make sure that they get clean and they stay clean and they find a productive path and they find something else, right? But
they're fucking crackheads. They're robbing copper out of your fucking walls. They're living on the fucking streets. Who the fuck's gonna handle boot camp better than a fucking crackhead? Keep them fucking weaned down, because if it's heroin, you got to slowly reduce to get them back to health, and put them through fucking hell. Fuck them. Let them get back. They're gonna be more fucking thankful when they're sober and they look at what they went through.
See, the thing is that and I agree that probably is the best thing, but because there's this whole argument where a lot of people don't want to do anything for them, the money that is out, what the idea that you're saying is probably it's more effective, but it's also more expensive than who's going to feed all these people 3 meals a day? You know what I mean? We're still paying for that, right? So it's everybody wants to do the ultimate thing, but nobody wants to pay for it. I'm down to pay all the tax money if I'm seeing problems get solved. My problem is we're getting taxed up the ass and the problems aren't getting solved. But I would rather see harm reduction. If that's all we can afford, I'd rather see something being done than nothing. And if you know, a lot of the people who hate this harm reduction shit also don't want any tax dollars going to help these fucking useless crackheads. Well, it's like it would take a lot more tax dollars to actually put them into programs that would cure them, because you'd have to feed them every day. You'd have to have people allocated, you know, to watching over them every single day. That would be expensive too, right? So it's like harm reduction is kind of a cheaper way to make sure that there's not bodies in the streets. Mind you, needles in the streets aren't a whole lot better, but it would be bodies in the streets if not for that. You know, at least that's what they say out west, and that's kind of what it's starting to look like here. So it's like I agree with you on it's not a solution and it's not a real solution, and there is no end game, and we should be working toward an end game. But you know, at the same time, you can't be like, well, fuck these fucking crackheads, and you know they're not worth the money.
I completely agree with you. It's only going to exacerbate,
because it's going to cost money to do it, right? It's going to cost either way. We're going to have to pay money to fix this, you know, and people don't want their money going towards drug addicts. They just want to say, oh, they're adults, they made their own decision, like fuck them, let them die. And it's like, fuck, like I don't know. Society kind of did this to them. Not all of them, but you know, nobody, I don't think, chooses that life or would ever choose that life, you know.
Well, see, that kind of comes back to what we were talking about, the income. Because let's face it, man, what's the number one reason people start getting into drugs?
Because they're fucking broke.
Not just broke, it's the depression of stress, of wanting to escape what they can't handle. What's the number one thing that people are dealing with now that they can't handle? Not knowing how to fucking put food on the table tomorrow.
Financial stress, man. It kills us, man. It kills everybody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to, be in an okay situation where, like, you know, my family's really supportive and stuff. Not that they're fucking rich or anything, but it's like, you know, I can't imagine, like, even I feel like I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, what the fuck am I gonna do if I eventually like have a family and shit? Like, I can't afford very much. You know, it's like it makes you wonder how past generations even did it. But it's like our generation's kind of just being fucked over. You know, we're kind of just being thrown to the wolves.
Well, the thing too, and this kind of comes back to cell phones, is when like, say our grandparents were our age, you know, yeah, they could buy a house for like 9-10K, but they were only making like $300-400 a month. So when you look at the growth and ratio, like, it's not that different. What is different is the fact that there's too many extra options to spend money on. You know how much money I save a month not eating fast food or going out, buying groceries and eating at home?
Yeah.
When I finally cut that habit out, I think I realized I was saving $400-500 a month. That's just on
not to mention being a lot healthier, right?
Yeah, that's just on fast food leisures. Now we take into effect like what vehicles are and what they cost in comparison to what they would have cost back then, especially with insurance costs, cell phone. You know, we got to have the latest sunglasses, new clothes. I can't wear that. Fuck, our grandfather probably wore the same jeans fucking 5-6 days in a row and then washed them on his day. You know what I mean? Like, the mentality is different. There's more options, and more expenses means less money to build with. So right. I think that's the bigger factor now, is we have so many more options of what we can do with ourselves or customize our lives or anything like that, that it's not as easy for us to focus on the bigger aspects and goals like it was for our grandparents.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That is very true. That is very true. And often our you know, our goal, because of the internet and stuff, like, and you and me can both attest to that, and I'm sure we will get into music at some point, but often our goals don't necessarily align with the game that you're supposed to play with society, you know, whereas I think our parents and grandparents, their goals were more oriented toward capitalizing off this fucking industrial revolution and shit, you know what I mean? Whereas we're kind of like, oh my God, like, I'm sick of fucking industries and corporations. Like, I want to do my own motherfucking thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I think our goals do tend to, you know, cripple us a little bit when it comes to getting ahead financially sometimes. At least it has for me.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, no, disclaimer, I do want to say I also do have a lot of friends out west who are anti-harm reduction, so I shouldn't have made the blanket statement that they're all for it. But
Again,
it's definitely it's a debate everywhere, right? But yeah, it's just a tough one. It's a tough one. I'd rather do something than nothing, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm also like a little bit Machiavellian, right? Like natural selection happens. Well, good.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but we are overpopulated. I'm no better than the next man.
Oh,
But
that is true.
exactly. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. It bothers me that we're so quick to find a quick remedy that never fixes anything, but never focus on the long term of like what's going to happen in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Like, fuck, look at nuclear reactors. Countries in the UK are starting to just shut them down and, like, start going towards solar energy or electric, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Bans and stuff like that,
Clean
or
energy.
solar, whatever you want to call it, whatever they're using. But the fact of the matter is, those nuclear plants, like, can't do anything with that for years. Where are you going to put fucking nuclear waste like that?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do with that? Look what fucking happened to Chernobyl. Look what Fukushima's
Yeah.
like, that literally has to sit there. That ground is unused. Like, we have literally fucked that part of the earth up. And don't think for a second, just because that nuclear facility is shut down, that it ain't still dangerous. An earthquake could still fuck up the states to a point where it's in nuclear holocaust.
Anything can happen, man, and that's a very important fucking lesson that we've hopefully learning from this right now.
Yeah. And that's the thing that scares me the most, is like, I sit and I look at how I've tried to grow off this opportunity. Like, we were talking about Forex trading in the beginning, and like what quarantines allowed me to do and realize and enjoy. But I don't feel like enough people have looked at it from that perspective and went, okay, now what? Like, I got a few friends that are literally sitting telling me, like, yeah, since I can't go out anymore, like, I've realized what I want to do with myself. Like, I'm saving so much money now.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And like, it's sad that there's still going to be a generation that's like, the second this shit's over, these fucking people in Toronto at the park, the second the nightclub opens, let's go party and fucking waste our money and not.
I think I think a lot of people who are going to end up doing that. Yeah, I think it's going to happen in
Well,
hordes.
We're going to do it. It's just, we'll be the entertainment, not the people in the crowd.
I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll go to shows too. I'll be in the crowd sometimes.
I'm so bummed, man. I had tickets for Veld's VIP 2 days.
Oh man, I feel bad for anyone that was planning to go to festivals this summer, because they were going to be lit, man. All the lineups were looking good.
It was my first year for Veld. I'd never been before.
You might never go again, man. And you never did go.
That's it. Way Home was awesome, though. Way Home was the lifetime experience in 2015, man.
Okay, I've heard good things about Way
Kendrick
Home.
Lamar, Sam Smith, and Neil Young. That was the fucking, oh, buddy. It was where I first saw Run the Jewels. It was
what
my first
lineup.
time seeing Danny Brown.
Jesus.
Oh, buddy, that 3 days. Neil Young Friday night, Kendrick Lamar Saturday.
What the fuck?
Sam Smith Sunday. Oh, it was amazing, man. It's EDM, hip hop, and rock concert, right? They do it up in Oro Medonte past Barrie. Dude, there are so many good fucking things like out of that weekend, so many experiences. And prior to seeing Kendrick Lamar at that one, I had seen Kendrick Lamar live when he came on tour with Wiz. I think that would have been like 2011, 2012. It was just as Swimming Pools was becoming a hot track, right?
I saw him on that tour as well. It was at the Molson Amphitheater.
Yeah, yo, that's crazy.
I've actually told that story on this podcast, actually. I've told the story about seeing Kendrick do ADHD in like 2011.
So seeing him go from that style of performance to a headline where he's got a full band with an orchestra, and like at this point, like he's doing the whole Good Kid, Mad City album, plus I think parts of To Pimp a Butterfly. Like,
I can just imagine, bro.
Yeah, it was such an amazing experience of seeing an artist in performance growth.
Oh, and I'm so happy to hear you say that, because it almost brings this podcast full circle, because I literally say when I talked about it, like, that I could tell at that time, even though I knew that he was going to be a motherfucking legend, his performance wise was not a legendary performance. For me, the one song ADHD was really, really legendary experience, but his set as a whole was just like, yeah, it was cool. Like, it was fucking Kendrick killed it, but like Wiz's set was better. And then
Yeah.
fucking, but I
Yo, was
knew
that the tour?
that Kendrick's live set would eventually be fucking legendary. And I haven't seen it live, but every video I've seen has been like, okay, he's nailed it. He's got it.
Was that one with Wiz and Kendrick? Did that have Mac Miller on it too?
Mac Miller was also there. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Okay. So we both got to see Mac before he passed then too.
Yeah. He was in a weird phase. And what's funny is like he was doing like a lot of like kind of, I've always liked him, but it was in a phase where I wasn't the biggest fan of him. Like he was doing a lot of kind of poppy teeny bopper kind of stuff. And like a lot of the audience was like teenagers there from Mac Miller with Mac Miller shirts on and shit like that. So like we were kind of laughing like these guys, these kids don't even fucking know who Kendrick is. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know what they're about to witness. And like little did I know how big of a Mac Miller fan I would end up eventually being. Like I liked him at that point, but I didn't. That was before like fucking Faces and watching movies with the sound off and like all his fucking super dope shit came after that show. So as much as I loved seeing Mac Miller, like the fact that I can say I saw him at the wrong motherfucking time for me, man. But Wiz was the perfect time, and Kendrick was a cool time to see him, but probably not the best time either. But it was still really cool.
Oh, fuck yeah. It was still very cool. I've been to that Molson Amphitheater for 5 Wiz concerts.
Did you see him with Snoop there?
Yeah.
I was there too, bro. I love the Molson Amphitheater, and Wiz obviously loves it too because it keeps going back. But you were there when him and Snoop disappeared and then popped up on the lawn.
Yeah.
That was the most lit moment, one of the most lit moments of my life, bro. All of a sudden they were right there. I was just like fucking bolted. It was crazy, dude.
Yeah, that was sick. I seen him last year with French Montana. French was not that impressive.
Yeah, French I'm a little hot and cold on. Sometimes I love him, sometimes I can't stand him. And I imagine his live show would be the same.
Yeah, it's not that impressive. He's not that hype. The year before that, we seen Ray Shrummer. So it was funny because the year Ray Shrummer came with him, Unforgettable was hot. And then the next year, French Montana came. So obviously he performed it too, right?
And it wasn't as hot anymore at that point.
No.
Yeah, and Sway Lee is what made that song hot, not Frenchie.
Yo, those kids are fucking dope, man. They come out halfway through their set, they just disappear for a quick smoke break, bring out all these fucking stripper escorts. They must have called from Toronto, but like all 12s, bro. Like all fucking 12s, and just a lineup across the stage. Like oh yeah, I love live music. I've definitely been to my share of live events.
I eventually want to try to list every rapper that I've seen live, but I can't even begin to do it. Like I've seen some legendary fucking performances, man.
Yo, we've gotten to work with some legendary performances too. That's the craziest shit. Big ups to Robbie G. Like, were you at the Obi Trice show?
Yes, that was, bro. I fucking loved that experience. So thank you for helping to make that happen, because for me that was just so special for me, bro.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. Obi Trice was kind of a bum.
Was he? Well, he as a human being, you mean, right? Because I was actually impressed by him as a performer. Like I didn't expect him to still be nailing those verses. Like he was actually nailing them.
Okay, he killed it on his own stuff. Problem what? He did not do enough of his own stuff. Do you know how many songs I wanted to hear from Cheers and Second Rounds on Me?
I was upset to not hear Average Man, and there was a bunch off Second Rounds on Me that I would have loved to see as well.
Meanwhile, he's doing stuff off that Pac album M produced. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
I like that they did. They let Swifty do a bit of D12 stuff. I thought it was a cool set list, but like that was super cool to see. But a more Obi solo centric act would have been kind of cool for sure.
Absolutely. Swifty was very cool, very down to earth and humble dude.
Swifty seems like a dope person.
Yeah, I really fuck with Swifty. Obi was just arrogant Obi Trice.
I've heard a lot of not so great stories about him just as a person, but always liked him as an MC. A lot of people aren't big fans of him as a rapper. To me, he's one of the most underrated rappers because of that. Like I think he's just a natural pure natural talent. Like he doesn't really have to try. And sometimes his verses are like pretty average. And sometimes his verses are like, holy fuck, like this dude could fucking rhyme. And he's never been like a punchline-y kind of guy. Like he just kind of raps like life and like what he thinks and stuff. And he doesn't really care that much about like it being super lyrical or whatever, but sometimes it just is. Like sometimes just because that's the sound of the beat, like he'll just be super lyrical. And then sometimes he won't be. Like he's pretty versatile, and I think he's underappreciated for that. But I've always heard he's a fucking bum of a person. Did you hear the last time that he was in the news? Actually, pretty recently, what he was in the news for on TMZ and shit.
This is after he shot his.
This was that, yeah.
He
shot his stepson. His girlfriend. He shot his girlfriend's son, and he gets off on it too.
Yeah, like, no,
because I pulled out a gun during an argument with my girlfriend and then accidentally fired and shot her son. But I love that kid, like, dude, come on, bro.
Yeah,
your album's triple platinum, fam.
Yeah,
what are you doing? Man.
And then what? Taking shots at Nick Cannon? That was it Nick Cannon he was taking shots at for M?
Probably, yeah. But M probably like fucking took Obi's number out of his phone years ago, bro.
Oh, guaranteed, man. Well, probably right around the time M sobered up after the overdose and shit.
Yeah, he's like, I can't be hanging out with that motherfucker anymore. But...
Bro, Obi put a bottle of Henny back at our show.
Oh my god,
like
dude.
A fucking bottle of Henny. Like, dude, I'd be through fucking like a third of a Henny on the ground dying.
And I've always heard that about him too, that he's just a fucking like rampant alcoholic, and then to see it. But man, that dude looks surprisingly healthy, dude. Like he doesn't look like he's aged that much since 2003.
Don't make me say it, Ezza. We all know black don't crack, bro.
Honestly, dude, like that, that dude, that motherfucker, like he obviously moisturizes, man. Because like honestly, Swifty age, that motherfucker looks swole. That motherfucker looks thick. But Obi looks the exact same as he did in 2003. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but god damn, and that tracksuit was lit too. But anyway, so you got to open for that show, and let's use that to segue into some music talk, bro. So what do you got going on, man?
So I guess I'll start. I like that shirt you got.
Yes, man. This is
I'll show mine. So if anybody's watching, I got Mr. Fuck Niagara, and over there on Ezza is Mr. Loves Niagara.
Yeah.
M.F.N. on all platforms right now. Just dropped today. Mr. Fuck Niagara. It's time to embrace the title and just have fun with it, so we can all move past or push out the butt hurt beauties, so we can have fun.
yeah, and it's a fun little song, and I was happy to get on it, man. And this episode, I think I might end up dropping it early, but normally I drop them Saturday, so by that time the song will have been out for a few days, so I imagine it'll get some interesting reception. And I don't know, do you want to kind of tell the story behind Mr. Fuck Niagara? Yeah, and I can kind of chime in with my side of it whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Hey man, I'm going to tell the whole story without trying to name any names of people I'm not impressed with at this point. But
yeah, I agree.
So we're on a show now. The show started. Do you want to be the headline? Yeah, I'll be the headline. Okay, well, Chum's supposed to be the headline, so you'll be co-headlining. I'm just waiting to see if they're performing or not. Okay, cool. Okay, they're performing. So we all come roll out, sitting in a VIP with a bottle. Strike one. When I talk to security and the promoter and say, hey, am I okay to take my bottle from my booth to the stage and back between performance? They're like, you're not carrying it around? I'm like, nope, straight to the stage, straight back after the set. Yeah, no, that's cool. So before I circle back around, set finishes, I go to walk off stage with my bottle, and security scoops it out, gives me a big speech how I can't have a bottle, I shouldn't have it on stage, and half a fucking good bottle is just taken from me by security. Anyways, the night's going well, artists are performing, the show goes well. Instead of letting us dive into it and keep the momentum, the promoter stops the performances, let's the DJ go with bangers. It's already almost 1 o'clock. People are getting hyped. People don't give a shit about performances anymore. People just want to turn up and chase tail. That's what point of the night it is.
That is true.
We go up first, and then Choom Gang is up. Yourselves. Strike two. One of the mics dies. The DJ takes it. I'm rapping on the other one. Pulls the battery out and drops the battery right on the space bar of his keyboard and stops my song and cuts my first song short. Okay. It was El Chapo. People were vibing to it. We had a good vibe. All of a sudden, the vibe changed into the second and third song, and the crowd wasn't feeling it. They didn't give a shit about performance anymore. Yeah. One little asshole kept coming up to me and saying, "Play Little Pete," which really fucking bothered me because I actually got to meet Pete before he passed when he performed at Phoenix. There's a story to go with me and Little Pete, and it really pissed me off that, of course, of all artists, this is who you're going to ask. In retrospect, what I should have done was put on Ben's Truck and just got the whole crowd singing and fucking ended my set there. You live, you learn. That's what I should have done.
Right.
Instead, what I chose to do was get mad at the kid, threaten to take him outside and beat the shit out of him, and try and continue my set, where it got to a point where people started booing, and I started talking shit to the crowd and basically said, "This is why I liked Toronto a lot more. Fuck Niagara."
Yeah.
So at this point, I fucked everything up for you. See, this is what I mean. I'm telling the whole story.
And here's Choom Gang.
I'm not leaving out details. I'm fully admitting my fuck up in this situation because I own it. That was half the reason of this song. That's why it was such a big deal that I had you on this song.
Yes.
So Choom Gang goes up. You boys try and do something. Now, at this point, I've walked out. So when you guys got on stage, did it go well at first? Was the crowd vibing, aside from the fact that I emptied out half of your fucking audience?
The crowd that stayed. So first of all, a lot of people walked out, and that was sort of the first part of the problem for us. Was like, well, fuck, now here we go. Because I get where you're coming from on the DJ playing bangers and getting everybody in fuck mode. Was definitely bad timing for performances to then come back into. But for us, we were like, fuck, the crowd is at least hype, you know what I'm saying? So like, we'll fucking come in and swoop in. At least the mood was still good at that point. Like, it wasn't ideal that the crowd wasn't in performance mode, but at least they were all in a good mood and they were all hype. So we were like, fuck yeah, Swish and them are going to come out. They're going to like get them back into performance mode now that they're in a good mood and shit. And then we're going to come and fucking knock it out of the park, right?
Because it's side note, because me and Ezza and Choom Gang have done so many fucking shows together already.
Yes.
Any other night,
there's never been a problem.
Exactly what's going to happen, and we're going to kill it, have a blast.
Exactly. So, but of course, this whole situation breaks down, and we're fucking all excited, ready to go on stage. Like, we know that, like, and then we just see things start to all of a sudden start to decline, and we're like, oh god, right? And then, the climax hits with the fuck Niagara, and then you see people start to be like, oh, fuck this. And then, like, a bunch of the crowd leaves, and we're like, what are we supposed to do? So, whatever crowd is there, which is, probably about half, we fucking, it does go well at first. We salvage it. You can actually see in the Heartbreakers music video, a lot of clips in that video of ours are from what happened in that set. So seeing as how short that set got cut short, it's pretty cool that we were still able to get that much footage out of it. It looks like, you watch that video, it looks like it's definitely a full set. What actually happened was, we got people pretty into it. The ones that were there, we get about 3-4 songs, probably not even that, maybe 3 songs into it. Promoter comes downstairs, like, oh, what the fuck? Too many people walked out. We got to cut it. No, sorry, he didn't even say that to me. He goes up to the DJ and he's like, I see him do this, see him do the neck thing. Cut it, I'm like, yo, what the fuck, man? And he's like, oh, the venue, the club wants me to have the DJ just play music because too many people are walking out because of these performances. And I'm going, it wasn't our fucking performance that made people walk out. Like, it was the performance before us. Like, we had people kind of going again. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no problem here anymore. And they're like, oh no, the DJ, they just want the DJ playing music. They're done with all these rappers kind of thing. Like, oh fuck, well, thank you. You know, we were the ones who this, you know, we're told we're going to be headliners and all this shit. And then, yeah, our set ends up being like for half a crowd and fucking maybe 10, 15 minutes long. Mind you, we made the best of it, but at the time it was pretty upsetting. And again, you know, it wasn't necessarily you I was upset at. We both know that you fucked up, so I was a little disappointed in you for not handling that a little more professionally, because like you said, any other time we've done a show together, never been a problem, right? But I was more upset at the fact that they didn't need to still cut us short. Like, I've performed for crowds of 5 people, I performed for crowds of 100 people, I'll perform for any crowd of people. So while I've got people, I don't care how few people are there, I don't care how many people walked out, I want to perform my full performance for the people that stayed. And if I don't get to do that, that's what's more aggravating to me than anything that happened before that. You know what I mean? So that's what really upset me more than anything.
If I could go back, I would have never I shouldn't have taken that show. I should have either let Will do it or just canceled our spot, because that was the same week that I found out my mom had cancer.
Right.
So, like, again, that's also one of the reasons why I wasn't professional Swish. I'm about to fucking grab this kid by the throat and beat the shit out of him for being stupid Swish, which I will do my absolute best to make sure never, ever, ever happens again, because I'm not proud of it. At the end of the day, we all make mistakes. It was a learning situation from me. It was one I wish I could change. It was one that I made a very stupid mistake, but that's kind of what makes the song so beautiful, is the fact that we can move past it. We're making a perfect image of where Niagara artists should be, working together to keep trying to build the scene.
Yeah. And we all feel like fuck Niagara sometimes, you know, and like that's kind of what I wanted to show in my verse, is like part of being from Niagara is like knowing that this place is a fucking shithole, man. Like
it is.
So I'm kind of being like, don't blame this guy, you know what I mean? Like, he loves Niagara too, and that was kind of your angle on it, was like, hey, like, look at everything I've done like for Niagara. Like, yeah, I said fuck Niagara, but obviously I love Niagara. I'm from fucking, you know what I mean? And so my attitude was like, when I say like, yeah, it's fuck Niagara, but don't say fuck Niagara unless you're from Niagara, bitch. It's like, if you're really from Niagara, then you should understand Swish saying fuck Niagara. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
If you don't get somebody saying fuck Niagara, then you're probably not really from Niagara, bro, because we all say that, bro. It's like, that's part of being from Niagara, man. And that's why, you know, to me, Mr. Fucks Niagara, Mr. Loves Niagara is one of the same thing, man. You gotta love it to be like, fuck this place, but you're still you're still here, right? Like, not totally, but, you know, you still come here.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, no, it's something that I'm very happy we were able to make a fucking rose out of a giant turd, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, man. Like, to be creative about the situation instead of it going a different way, you know. And that's a lot of things to me that have gone wrong with our local scene. It's like, things could have gone the way of, let's turn this into a collab, but instead it was, let's turn this into fucking diss tracks, and then that never gets reconciled after, because now you've said things you can't take back or whatever. And it's like, why is everybody so quick to diss each other? Like, if you have an issue, like, collab with that person. If you really think like, I'm so much better than this guy, right, then fucking collab with that person, and then everybody will see, oh wait, he is better. You know what I mean? We don't need to be at war with each other. And it's like, you know, it's like, you could still flex on somebody in subtle ways, you know, and just be friendly, you know, if you're about flexing on somebody. But like, all this, like, it gets turned into negative creativity instead of positive creativity, you know? Like, and what you've done with the fuck Niagara situation is turn it into a positive creativity. Like,
absolutely, man. My biggest sadness right now is like, a lot of the songs you're getting right now, we had prepared since like January. We actually sat down with somebody who used to be a head A&R of Sony Records and got a lot of insight about where to go with marketing. And as I'm sure you can see now, me trying to like rebrand my image a little bit, color schemes, and just what I'm trying to be. Rick and Morty, because I fuck with that shit heavy.
Oh yeah.
So what sucks is all this stuff I had planned, but now we can't do shows because I would have loved to like throw a show and sell these t-shirts and do something with the money for Niagara, just that little extra. A big thing I wanted to do when my mom got sick with cancer, for anybody who might be dealing with this or might deal with it in the future, there's a place called Hospice Niagara. It's over at the end of Ontario Street towards Port Dalhousie, where Service Canada is, where Choo Choo Charlie's used to be, for those of you who are truly from Niagara. Basically, it cost us like $200 to sign her up, and then the rest was covered. This is a donation place. And for the last 4 months of my mother's life, they did everything for her. She had a button by her bed. They fed her amazing meals. Come take care of her, wash her. This is what long-term care facilities and healthcare should be, but because it's privatized and it works off charity, these are people who actually give a shit. And I would have loved nothing more than to use something like this to give them an extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, you know, maybe even $10,000 if we could raise it. I want to do a show for Niagara Hospice.
Oh, that'd be incredible,
Hospice
dude.
Niagara. So for those of you, if you're dealing with someone with cancer, or you're going to be in the future, and it gets to a point where it's going to get into stage 4, and my condolences if it does, because this is a very hard thing to watch happen. It's definitely one of the hardest things I've dealt with in life. And let me tell you, as a former drug dealer, I've seen a lot of shit. A security guard at country festivals, which they say rock and rap is such a bad genre. Let me tell you, them country folk are way more fucking psychotic and crazy. I dealt with dudes tripping on acid at 3 a.m. at fucking way home. When I dealt with Boots and Hearts, I saw shit that made me get out of the security industry. I couldn't deal with that.
Jesus Christ.
Not to mention fucking over 40 trucks with stripper poles attached to the trailer hitch. How you got that from your home to the fucking park is one thing. How you thought you were getting that in the park, I don't fucking know.
and you never see them on the goddamn news, do you? It's always fucking right. It's always goddamn rappers on the news.
Yo, legit, man. You're seeing like fully souped up Dodge fucking Hemis or whatever, fucking Dodge Rams, and that fucking 10-foot stripper pole right on the ball joint of the fucking trailer.
I mean, they're like, yo, where's TMZ at? This is a Tim McGraw show, man. The fuck?
For real. But anyways, back to the point.
Yeah, hospice, man.
Hospice
that sounds like some, like, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that, bro, because that's very heavy stuff. And like, I've heard the name Hospice Niagara, but I never really thought about what that was or what that could do for a loved one, you know?
Exactly. When my mom was in the hospital, so what happened was my mom found out in January of last year that it was bone cancer, and when she found out it was stage 4, which I won't go into detail. There's some things that really bother me about that, because bone cancer isn't fast. Bone cancer is very slow and progressive, and I know she had that for at least 3 or 4 years before. The way she was walking with a cane and dealing with what her doctor was telling her was arthritis. Always get a second opinion.
Wow.
So when she went in for chemo, and another thing at stage 4, fuck chemo. You're not saving yourself. You're not saving your loved one.
No.
Chemo is a poison.
Yeah.
Fuck chemo. Let them smoke weed. Feed them as much weed as you can physically fucking afford. Find something else. Fuck chemo. At stage 1 or 2, maybe 3 when you're young. Yeah, chemo can save you. But do not do chemo if you were in stage 4. Please, for the love of God. Yeah. So my mom did the first session of chemo. It was like an hour or 2. It was okay. The second session cooked her immune system to a point where she stopped eating and had to go into the hospital, and she never came out of the hospital.
God damn,
the chemo sped up. It took time away from her. I truly believe if she hadn't have done chemo, she would have got to see my daughter be born. Anyways, man. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer on this situation. I'm trying to raise awareness.
No, raising awareness is important, because a lot of people, myself included, you know, don't think about these things until it's too late. So thank you.
No, absolutely. So I believe it was like maybe 2 months in at the hospital, and like we knew, okay, this isn't going anywhere. This is we're just riding this out to the end. that was when they mentioned Hospice Niagara, and Hospice Niagara stepped in. And like I said, it cost us $200. We've spent more because me and my father continuously donate. I try to donate at least quarterly if I can't do once a month. $10, $15, $50, $100. Every now and then they'll do it where some nice investor will come in and they'll match whatever's donated up to like 60,000 or something like that. So
sorry,
please.
you had to donate. So you had to donate $200, and that just, and for that she got fully taken care of, everything.
Fully taken care of.
That's beautiful, man.
Again, going back to that PSW comment, $30 an hour. $200, and she's somebody who gives a shit is taking care of her. So
yeah,
if you have somebody who's gone from cancer, if you have somebody with cancer, if cancer is a part of your life and you're trying to fight it, please look at Hospice Niagara the next time you want to write off money for your business, for your personal, to write off for income tax. Please consider Hospice Niagara, because that is money going to a good
that's
cause.
That's incredible, man. And that's, it's comforting to know that exists. That's amazing stuff. So big shout out to Hospice Niagara. Certainly anybody listening to this fucking little podcast, if you're gonna spread the word on anything you hear today, make it that, Hospice Niagara.
Absolutely. Now to circle back around to music.
Yeah, sure.
On June 21st, my next major single drops. It is called Hand Grenade. It is actually dedicated to my mother.
Okay.
June 21st is the anniversary of her passing. It'll be the first anniversary. This is also to help raise awareness for cancer, specifically bone cancer and slowing progression stuff, and to kind of more raise awareness. Like growing up, like we remember those commercials where like, go get your prostate checked, your guys can get cancer, but at this point in time, like in 2020, especially with all the shit we put in the air, the shit that is in our food, the stuff that you don't think about that wasn't there 50, 60 years ago as strong, get checked. If you have a weird feeling, fuck your doctor if he tells you not to be like, a hypochondriac, or your friends are telling you you're being a hypochondriac. Fuck that, because that could literally be the difference between you living for another year and another 10 years, another 20 years, another 40 years. Get yourself checked. I can't stress this enough.
Yeah.
Take care of your health. It is very fucking important.
Yeah, the human body can certainly take a lot, but it also is very, very susceptible to a lot of things that we take for granted, man.
Absolutely. Yo, I like that volcano you got in the background. Me and my boys used to blaze one of those all the time, man. The same
It's
model,
funny.
everything.
Yeah, it's funny because like it's almost a prop because I haven't used it in a while. And it's like I like using it, but it's just compared to just packing a quick bong toke, it's just, it's just such a to-do, right? And I just forget that it's there. But occasionally I do fire it up, especially if I have people around. But again, haven't had no people around. But
Yeah.
it is perfect for multiple people. That's kind of what I use it for now. For personal use, it's easier to just fucking pack a bong toke, But yeah, man. Damn. June 21st, new singles. Are you working toward an album drop or something? Like what's this all?
So
What's the
there
end
is an
game, man?
album in the works, but I'm basically right now, like as we keep growing with marketing and what we're trying to do, Be Me did really well, not in Canada.
I've had a bit of that happen as well with some of my songs. Yeah,
we're doing amazing in like Russia and actually in Saudi Arabia, which is an awesome thing because there's a lot of money in Saudi.
no shit.
Yeah. So, but it is doing well, and our marketing is starting to figure out different ways to read the analytics, so we're getting the most out of our buck, and it's growing. So right now, I'm just dropping singles, major single every month and a half, because you need about 6 to 8 weeks for playlist curation on Spotify. So it's helping get me out there and get my name out there through Spotify connects and stuff. Well,
Right.
we do other marketing. I'm going to be doing a lot of freestyles, a lot of like simple singles, like. Our song Mr. Fuck Niagara really had no purpose other than to do exactly what it was, to show like the past is the past. We need to build, to show that, like, if you're from Niagara, you understand and love Niagara enough to know, man, fuck Niagara.
Exactly.
What I will tell you is there's actually another song dropping in the next couple days.
Oh wow.
called
Okay.
called Niagara Flex, formerly known as Fuck Niagara Flex. It's a freestyle to kind of go with this and kind of just make sure that I take that crown as Mr. Fuck Niagara and proudly represent it.
Hey, and I'll fucking gladly take Mr. Loves Niagara, man.
I like that. I like that. Please, man, post that on your social medias too. We're going to be selling both shirts. I am going to see if I can get it to a point where most of the profit does go to like a good cause for our city, just because I'm
down for that, bro.
Yeah, that this situation is about building. It's not about capitalizing.
Yep.
Then in June, we've got one more freestyle dropping before Hand Grenade, formerly called Drugs, now called More. I'm not going to tell you what beat it's over, but I will tell you that it's a very popular song right now that we're seeing on Facebook and social media a lot over memes.
Okay. I got some guesses.
Yeah. So that's that. I've got a lot of other singles coming. I got one with Casper Marcus coming that's hopefully going to drop September. Shout out Casper from London.
Out Cass.
I got another one. I'm waiting on Dylan from BPAX. I've already got fucking Nick's half of the verse. So there's a feature from BPAX coming. Shout out BPAX. Those young cats are on the come up. They're one of the biggest things I am watching and I fuck with right now.
Yeah, we gotta support the youngins, man. I've seen them live. They got a fucking lit show, man. So we gotta support them youngins, man. That's what that was a big problem when we were coming up, was we didn't get the support from the old heads. Man. Still shouts out all my old heads. You love me now. You love me now.
We won't name any names, but I know exactly the old heads you're talking about. I got that name treatment, man.
It's okay. I love them too. It's all good. Mr. Loves Niagara, the house, man. But
yo,
no,
for real.
We gotta support these youngins though, for real. It's very important. So shouts out BPAX. Like, yo, if you in contact with them, let them know. I'll have them on the podcast anytime, man. I'm just trying to get
Yeah. I'll holler at Dylan after this, man. Let him know. We obviously just dropped the song. Pluto just dropped the song Mindful. I know you had Pluto on one of your last episodes.
Yeah, I love that song you did with him, man. Beautiful.
Yo, that song was really big for me because, like, as you can tell, like, it was a whole different vibe from anything I'd ever really touched. And he sent it to me and I just started vibing and writing. And I got back at him like the same day and I'm like, yo, I have to have the feature on this. Like,
this nailed it, man. Absolutely, dude. The vibe was perfect.
So if you're fuck with Pluto Han, make sure you bump that tune. If you don't, go check out Pluto Han on all streaming platforms.
That's the homie.
Go check out. Yeah, that's the homie. Our boy Ezza right here talking to me is also on that project. Dope project. And yeah, there's so much more music coming. That's kind of our main focus. It's just, truth be told, as a man, if the album drops, that's it for me. So I'm kind of holding out because if the album drops, that's basically me saying it was good, but it's time to focus on the next parts of my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a big statement right there, my man. And, I was going to say I'm looking forward to the album, and now I'm feeling like I'm down to wait a little bit, man. Yeah.
There's a lot of singles coming, and if the album, there might be an album that comes before that album, but it will be hip hop. It'll be EDM. There's about 6 songs already written. There's a little bit of dance, a little bit of dubstep, a little bit of electro. Like, it's all over the place. Hey, man,
you gotta dabble.
It'll be some good vibes. That's pretty much almost just finished. It's a whole separate project. I just started during quarantine and then just started all coming together very quickly. So I ran with it. Having the home studio has been a real blessing for me.
Yeah, I've preached that a lot on this podcast as well. I've been preaching it for years, but now I can say I told us so, because fuck, everybody wants a home studio now. And it's like, man, I've been saying it's not that expensive. Get yourself a home studio, man.
The biggest thing now is understand your limits. Don't go and mix and master if you're not getting quality. If you're happy with the quality, mix and master. Not everybody wants that quality sound. Some people want that underground sound, that grunge sound. Me personally, and this is part of the growth of an artist, I've really come to the realization I'm not a rapper. And that's obvious in the mentality and the fact that like this whole situation with Mr. Fuck Niagara, like I felt like a dick the whole time. I was sincerely like upset at the fact that like we were almost at a point where we were not talking to each other over this situation and how I fucked it up. It bothered me. A rapper doesn't give a shit. Beef is fucking beef. Let's make a diss track. I'm a hip hop artist and I'm starting to realize that in a pop genre. So all my music is quality, radio quality. That is a big thing for me. So now I'm recording all my own stuff, but I'm sending it to the engineer. I'm paying somebody to mix and master that because I want my quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's important. It's important. Yeah. I think just being able to even record yourself, even if you're not going to mix and master, even if just being able to engineer yourself, being able to have your own space where you can try things out, you can figure out, will this work? Won't this work? To me, the idea of only having an hour in a creative space is just like, I feel claustrophobic even thinking about that, or having to pay by the hour, like, I personally enjoy mixing and mastering myself because to me that's kind of part of what I do as a hip hop artist. Is that's part of my sound, is my mixing and mastering style, which is very sort of DIY internet based. To me that's just sort of part of what I do. But anybody, even people like yourself who are really concerned about getting that studio mastering, still having your own home setup at least for recording and trying shit out and fucking knowing how to engineer yourself a little bit is just so helpful. And I just encourage anybody who wants to be creative to fucking get on that, man.
Absolutely. It's hard too, because like when you start paying for hours in a studio, like I mean, if you're fucking balling, you're on the fucking Universal's budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Then who cares, right? Exactly. You got unlimited fucking time.
But when you're the average artist, it's a lot easier to be truly creative and be yourself in a home studio because you're just looking at what you can do. You're not looking at, oh fuck, I only got another 45 minutes. I got to lay this verse for this. I got to lay this verse for this. I got to get this feature done, because we all do it. Let's face facts. Like even say, well, I mean, not Sazy, because Sazy's got his own setup now and that, but like some of your artists you're paying for, like, give me a week because they got to get to that studio. And now they're trying to bang out 3 features to make as much money as they can in profit. So it's actually worth their time to be an artist and creating a living, but also managing the time. So yeah, versus a home studio, it's so much easier to be the artist with a home studio and focus on what the art is.
Yep, absolutely. And just like try things out. I've recorded so many songs that I'll never put out that like I can't imagine having paid for studio time for those. Even some that I thought were going to be like the shit, and then I record them and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I could take it or leave it. Like, I like it, but I'm not necessarily going to put this out as my next shit. You know what I mean? And if I were paying for that time, like, I'd feel compelled to put everything out and like try to make something of every little thing I record. Whereas because I can just record whenever I want, it's like I don't feel compelled to make something out of everything I record. Like, a lot of it to me is just practice, and it is like, okay, that was just a practice song. Like, I might throw that out as some like unreleased shit later, but to me, the shit that I release is like tip of the iceberg. Like, this is the shit that I want actually representing me. But underneath that layer of fucking ocean, I've recorded a fucking 100 things that you're never going to hear to get those fucking 10 that I fucking love. And it's just like, because that's how I do my shit, it's just not practical to pay for anything, even engineering and stuff. Sometimes mastering and stuff. Sometimes I need to mix it to even know if I like it enough to put it out, And then a lot of the times at that point, I'm like, oh fuck, I mixed this good enough. I'm just gonna put it out, and if not, I don't put it out. It's just the way I work. It would be impractical, and I think that a lot of people get discouraged thinking that it's super expensive when you really can do it in a cheaper way.
Absolutely. Okay. Sorry, I almost forgot. Artist to artist, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever released a song that you were just like, I don't really fuck with this, but like, I'll release it, and it ends up being a fucking, like, people end up loving the song?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely happens. Or like I'll put out a project and the song on the project that I thought nobody would really care for is the one that everybody's messaging me about. Like, yo, I love fucking this track. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think people would really care for this track. Like I thought people would like this song on this album, or I thought you might, so that happens. It does happen for sure.
You've obviously had at least one song where you've dropped thinking like, yo, this is the dopest shit, man. Everybody's gonna love this, and it's just kind of slept on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Many. It's crazy how it works out, right? Yeah. Expectations are, you gotta just, as an artist, you gotta just get rid of expectations of results, because I think it's hard, but you gotta just focus on what you're good at, which is the creation of the art. Not that you can't focus on other things, but as far as the art's concerned, trying to focus on the reception of the art or what you think the reception will be, for me, has led to, again, a lot of like what you're saying. Like, I thought it was going to be this, ended up being this, which is not always disappointing. Sometimes it's a pleasant surprise when people fuck with shit you don't necessarily think they're going to. But ultimately, expectations tend to be wrong. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to do what the fuck I want to do and represent myself the way I want to represent myself. And hopefully people get it. At this stage in my life, I'm like, who am I trying to fucking impress? It's like, I just do this. I do this to do this. It's tough though. You want to still hit, you want to get a hit, but
see, that's it, man. Like, I don't think I could ever give up making music. I'll probably try and release music forever. It's just,
yeah, man.
I'm at a point where, like, I guess it's because I've gone hard for a bit too. Like, I've spent money, man. I've definitely spent money, and like,
yeah,
this shit's become it. The music is fun. What the industry is now, the competition, especially being a Canadian artist in an industry that is clearly American.
Yeah.
It's, you just get to a point where I guess to coin a phrase, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So like, the music is what I love. It's just, you get to a point where it's like, oh fuck, man, $500 on marketing. I could go like take my kid on a trip for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can buy the newest game system, or like, hey, that's a down payment on an ATV kind of shit. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm getting to that point in my age. Like, this is make or break. Now, I will tell you that one promise I made my mom is that if I do give this up, before I do, I have to release a full album. I had promised her I would finish what I start. So that album will happen. And
Good.
I think there's a lot of singles still to come from me, because I'm really just starting to find myself in sound and song creativity.
Yeah.
There's some really cool concept songs I've come up with that I think are going to do well. But I can honestly say there's that feeling now in the back of my mind, like, this is going to get to a point where, like, yeah, I'll probably still do shows here and there. Yeah, I'll still release music, but you'll never see another sponsored ad by me. You probably won't see gear. You won't, you know what I mean? And I won't be on social media. I'll literally use social media, and you'll see me like once a week. Oh, hey, I did this song, or check out this new song, because I don't, that's the only reason I'm on social media anymore, is for music, is to keep
me too.
That's the thing I hate the most about music and being a musician, is having to be consistent on social media.
Oh, it sucks.
You know how lucky our idols like fucking The Game and Dr. Dre and fucking all them were, that
they got to come up before that shit, man.
Yeah. Flip shit out the back of CD or out of the back of cars, and like fucking do shows and sell all kinds of shit. Like,
oh, they'd probably be telling us, you kids are so lucky you have the internet. Like, fuck flipping tapes and shit. But we're like, God damn, you guys had such like much less competition. If you were like intelligent, you already had a leg up on a lot of artists, because not every, you got some brilliant artists, but they couldn't market themselves to fucking save their lives, right? If you have the ability to market yourself, you have a leg up on everybody. But when your competition is the entire world on the internet, well, a lot of fucking people have figured out how to market themselves. And the younger they are, the better, man. That's why all these fucking youngins come up on the internet, because they understand the internet. They understand what pops off, what goes viral, what trends. You and I have to pay people to understand the shit that Lil Nas X it comes very naturally to him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's 19 years old and he's from America and he's a young gay black man and he understands the world on the internet, and we fucking don't. We understand it to some degree, but if we really want to infiltrate what's going on the internet and try to go viral or some shit, like, we really do have to pay people to help us with that, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? I do to some degree. I know more than a lot of my peers do, but I don't know more than these kids do, and I don't fucking ever think I'm going to. I'm way too far behind, man. It's like our parents trying to figure out the internet better than us. Like, that's, even though there's a bigger age difference between our parents and us than us and teenagers, there's also as big of a technology difference there, where it's like they just get shit on a whole other, like, imagine growing up with social media just as part of the world. Like, dude, social media didn't come around till I was pretty much out of high school. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine just being a kid to a teenager to an adult with social media being part of your life. Of course, they're going to be way better at it than us, man. Of course, there's going to be fucking 18-year-old millionaires and superstars while we're fucking pulling our hair out trying to figure out how to blow up off of. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not mad at myself anymore for not figuring it out. It's like I'm kind of on the older side of the spectrum at this point. I got to accept that and just make shit that's true to me, and hopefully it finds its fucking audience, man.
Absolutely.
But
that's the thing for me. Like, the music is such a beautiful thing, but like, even then, like, I remember coming out of high school and I was just getting into hip hop, and like, at that point I was at parties and like I'd get to battle rap maybe one or two people, you know, that not everybody was a rapper then. Like, they're you know what I mean? Like, I it was something that made me unique. It was something that made me feel like I belong. It was something that made me feel like I stood out and I was able to really be myself, like I had purpose. And that's the problem I'm having with music now, is I love music. I love being creative. I don't ever want to stop making music. I love performing, man. But unfortunately, what music is now is a competition. And I've never been one to fucking try and be in competition with somebody. I'm the guy who lets him fucking burn himself out. Well, I just stand there and smoke a blunt and learn from it. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, I don't want to be in competition. So that's what makes it so much harder in this scenario, is that we have to compete. And I don't even say that like knowing technology. I say that because, like, you have to jump through fucking hoops as a Canadian artist, or you got to drop fucking millions of dollars. And even then,
or you got to move to the States.
I got another song coming with a female artist by the name of M.F.N. Now, for those of you who know M.F.N, you know that's pretty dope. For those of you who don't, features with Movado, features with Pressa, with Tory Lanez.
Okay.
She's a female pop singer, I guess pop style, from I think GTA. I believe she's from Ontario. Millions of dollars, man. I know the investor spent millions of dollars, right? And then a situation happened. Now she'll get back. She will come back and do even bigger and better things. But because of the way things happen with management and contracts, that person stopped funding. And it literally just, you don't know she's dropping music now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my secondary problem is I've never been greedy with money, where like I have to fuck people over for it, where I don't want to be a salesman. Like, you know how many jobs I've had where I could fuck people over to take money? And we're talking legal ones, like selling shit like that.
Oh yeah. Sales jobs are dirty, bro. They're grimy.
It's not who I am. It's not who I want to be as a person. So it's kind of the same aspect, you know?
Yeah. No, it's probably even worse in some ways, you know, because it's really, you're really putting your heart and soul into it, and for it to be something as surface level as a competition on views and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just that's not what it's about, man. And it shouldn't be about that.
That's the other thing that bugs me, is like, you get big. Okay, everybody comes to see you. there's genres that work where when you got a sound, but hip hop is not one of them. Hip hop is a competition. So, fuck, I'm really stoned right now. I'm sorry, man. Like that last one just really hit me in the boo boo, and like my brain just keeps dropping.
It happens, bro. Happens to the best of us, man.
I completely forgot what I was talking about. The point is though, is that the effort that's needed, the expenses that's needed, the ability to maintain a status quo to make money, it's not fun. And I'm at a point where I just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
The truth is, I think the biggest part of it for me is when I got into music, aside from being myself, I realized, holy shit, I have a talent. Holy shit, I could make something of this talent. You're talking like I can't do it anymore. I had a neck injury and just life. You remember when I first came into the scene, how I used to kill freestyles. Bro, I used to freestyle every morning. I would literally freestyle off the top until my brain sweat. Like I would literally sweat from my forehead and the rest of my body was cool. Brain is a muscle. A lot of the stuff I did was freestyle. And we're not talking like cool written to somebody else's beat. We're talking like there is no preparation. I haven't thought out a single rhyme scheme in what I'm about to do. This is right off the top, and I am making things work and making things rhyme right on the spot. That is a fucking talent. The only person I know in Niagara that can still do it to that degree is Big Dubs.
Yeah, freestyling is its own art form, man.
I guess Sazy too, because I've heard Sazy freestyles a lot of his stuff, but I mean, he's not freestyling it all at once. He's just freestyling it off the top.
Bars at a time.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of modern music is made. So, I mean, no discredit to Sazy for that, because that's kind of how shit's done now. But I see what you're saying. The difference is that there is a very big difference there in the art form in general, in just being able to freestyle off the top for 32 bars compared to, a few bars here, a few bars there.
Yeah.
I'd be like Sazy myself. Like I can freestyle. I've done, like, you've heard shit that's gotten released of mine that was part of freestyles, but it's like I'll freestyle 16 bars and I'll take 4 of those bars and use them, and then I'll rewrite the rest of it. You know what I mean? Like it just comes from vibing. Like I'll have a hook written, and then I'll start doing the verse as a freestyle, and I'll be like, oh, that sounded dope, and then I'll cut off where it stops being dope and then write the rest. I can freestyle if I'm on the right substances. But that's for another conversation,
Yeah.
As far as doing so creatively, I'm more of a writer. But I do fully respect the art of actually being able to freestyle as its own talent. It's a totally separate thing. And a lot of people think that being a rapper and being able to freestyle is interchangeable. Like the amount of times I've had people ask me to do a freestyle for them. It's just like, dude, I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, just because I'm a rapper doesn't mean I could do a freestyle for you. I'm not that kind of fucking rapper. I write songs.
I was a writer, man, but like, fuck, when I started in this, like, I would spit random freestyles in between my set right off the top and make that shit work and look dope with surroundings, with stuff I'm dealing with. But like, my first songs, like some of my first single releases, let's see, Miss Canadian Pie. I had Mufik do the artwork for that one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's on SoundCloud. Yo, that whole thing was freestyle. Mikey Bars will attest to that. He played the beat once. I said, okay, hit record. Did the whole thing. There is even a hook in that. Literally freestyle, first hook, verse. Right off the top, one spot, one go, 4 minutes, done. Cut off the end because it started getting gibberish. There's your fucking song. A song made.
It's that easy.
5 fucking minutes. This Town, both verses in that were right off the top. Fuck, man, I'd have to go look through some of my stuff, but like, yeah, it wasn't until recently when I started writing more. But like, obviously, writing more, I write way better. My freestyles will never be as lyrical as like my writtens. That's just the fact. But some of the stuff I have written lately, I look back at some of the stuff and I'm like, Jesus shit, how did I get that? Like, Love Hate. You've obviously heard Love Hate.
Yeah.
Me and Wildridge.
Yeah.
In a minute when the distance is an image of the past, I'm relentless in the trenches if revenge is ever asked. Tempted by the temptress, but exempted from her task, a reminder that I'll find her in a brighter, greener grass. Like, that's
poetry.
That's deep. Even Will's like, how did you come up with that? I'm like, I just wrote it.
That's shit you can't really freestyle. Like that's where you know, that's where the line is drawn, right? It's like that's some next level shit. Like you can say some pretty profound shit while freestyling, don't get me wrong, but to eloquently express thoughts that deep and also be using literary tools, different rhymes, different alliterations, shit like that, and making it all work to a rhythm and to a song. Like that's the beauty of writing to me, you know. And I'm looking forward to hearing your future writtens, man, 'cause, you know, you've definitely been through some shit, and seen how we've all seen now with our own eyes how you turned the fuck Niagara situation into something cool, and that was only a small thing compared to some of the other shit you've been through. So looking forward to Hand Grenade and the rest. I believe I do gotta get going at this point. It's been fucking wonderful though, and I really appreciate you, and always a pleasure chatting. Let the people know where they can find you and look out for you. Fuck social media, but all your social media, and all that good stuff, man. Anything else you got to say to the people?
Yo, for real. Swish Styles, almost all social medias is at It's Swish Styles. Find me on all streaming platforms, Swish Styles. Me and Ezza just dropped a new song today. It hit midnight last night. Mr. Fuck Niagara, M.F.N. You could follow me on YouTube. I got 2 channels. One is for music videos and all my stuff, and then another one is going to be just for freestyles and freestyle videos and all the free stuff that I can't make money on. That's where Fuck Niagara Flex, a remix,
Okay.
throw a little more lyricism and a little more I knew the reason I did this, and I've already gotten criticism since the song dropped, is I've had a few of my people message me up going, yo, I wanted to hear more Swish. Like, there's a lot of Ezza on there. I'm like, yeah, don't worry. There's more Swish coming on this.
Swish has more to say.
3 more verses. Don't stress it. Don't stress it. Yeah.
You got a website too, right?
I do. Thank you. www.swishstyles.com. We actually just finished it again today. We've been continuously working at it, trying to get the color schemes right, trying to get the vibe right. You'll notice some artwork on there, Ezza. That is your boy. Big shout out to Lagima Art. What's his actual name?
I believe the G is silent. I believe it's Lahima.
Lahima, my apologies.
And my apologies too if I'm wrong, because I often say it wrong myself. So sometimes I'm like, I think it's this, but it's this. But anyway, shouts out my boy, man. He knows who he is, and yeah,
dopest artwork. If you're ever in Toronto and you see him at a gala, make sure you go pick that shit up. I will happily pay this dude. I'm gonna fuck myself for saying this, but I'll happily pay that dude almost any price he asks to do the art he does. He does some amazing shit.
Yo, Martin, you heard the man. You heard the man.
he is the man who did the artwork for our Mr. Fuck Niagara song, because it only seemed right to keep that inside a tube.
Yeah.
You'll see artwork on my website. That is Mr. Lagima. Artwork on my Instagram. Again, that's Mr. Lagima. We actually took the one picture he did with my face all drippy with the bone sticking out.
Yeah.
You'll have a real laugh. Anybody who's a real Rick and Morty fan, you'll have a real laugh at the artwork for Niagara Flex. It's humorous. At first I was a little, maybe I shouldn't drop this, like this makes me look stupid, but the more I look at it, the more I feel it's really attention grabbing. You're gonna have a laugh. And it'll make you remember the song and the vibe more. But yeah, it's Swish Styles on all platforms, Swish Styles on all streaming services, www.swishstyles.com. You can definitely find a Mr. Fuck Niagara or a Mr. Loves Niagara t-shirt there. I got other Swish Styles gear. We're just getting started with everything. Please check me out. And much love to Ezza for having me on here.
Of course, brother. Anytime, man. I appreciate you, bro. And thank you for getting me on that song. It's a blessing, man. Hopefully the people love it. And hopefully these shirts do well. And shouts out Hospice Niagara, man. We're going to do some shit to help them out. And as soon as this COVID shit's over, You let me know as soon as you need us on a show for that. We're fucking
buddy,
there,
I
bro.
can't wait for the shows coming. You know it's gonna be a bash because everybody's gonna want to be out of the fucking house.
Yeah, man. You know we ready, man. You know we ready. Much love, bro. Nice having you, man.
Much love. Have a good night, Ezza.
You too, brother. Peace.
To take a plane to another plane, to another plane, to another plane, bumping back and not nice while I'm trapping in the rain.